Alrighty, so in today's video, we're going to be taking a look here at our 1948 REO truck. So this truck, as I said, was made in 1948, and it was used by a local farmer here for quite a while. Apparently, it had this nice dump bed on it, nice flatbed. Apparently, they used it to haul cattle quite a bit, but then also to haul grain and stuff. And so it was used for quite a while until eventually, as best as we can figure out, it was parked about 40 years ago. So it's been sitting for about 40 years. The hood was on it. We pulled that off, if you saw in the last video where we brought it home. And so here in this video, we're going to be taking a special look at the actual engine itself. We're going to pull the spark plugs. We're going to take a look inside the cylinders. Part of the issue is that it's in gear, and so then we're going to be trying to get it out of gear if we can. So those are going to be the big projects for today's video. All right, so now we got everything blown out. We're just going to take this oil here and we can get to come out. Just kind of fill that up with some of that. Fill all of these up. All right, so now we got the stuff in all of those, as you can see. So we're just gonna let those sit overnight, and maybe we'll try pulling them tomorrow. All right, so I took apart the air intake here off the top, and that gives us a look kind of into the condition of the carburetor. If I get up there, so you can see that in the carburetor, it doesn't look too bad, but there's a bunch of mud dauber nests all in here, so we're gonna have to get the shop vac and vacuum all this out. Alright, so actually didn't let it sit too long. I decided to throw the socket on the good old spark plug, and it's already coming undone, so we're going to take a look at it. Alright, so looking at it here, we got a good little bit of corrosion on the end. It's definitely pretty rusted, but yeah, that looks like some pretty good rust on the end there. Now let's take a look in the cylinder. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Not sure if you can see down in there, but there is some good scaly rust down in there. That one's pretty bad. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of them. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pull the rest of these plugs, look down the rest of the cylinders and see how bad the rest of them look, and we'll see how everything is doing. Pretty sure it's hard to see here in the video, but if you can see down there at all, it is not looking really good. There is some deep rust. There you go, you can see pretty well there. There is some pretty deep rust. All right, so we're gonna fill up the cylinders. As you saw, it's pretty rusty in there. It's pretty corroded, so we're gonna fill up the cylinders with a mixture of diesel fluid and transmission fluid. We're also going to work on the transmission and see if we can get it into neutral at least, so that we can actually turn over the engine better. All right, so we were filling them up with diesel, and these four here all filled up really well, but these two here are just going through transmission fluid. I'll probably put a gallon each in there. I guess we're just going to keep dumping it in there. I can't imagine where it's going. These cylinders aren't that big, but I guess we'll just keep running. I'm wondering if hopefully it wasn't going into the oil pan, you know, through the crack or getting past the piston somehow. That does not seem to be the case. It seems to be, I checked the oil dipstick and doesn't seem to be any diesel in there, so hopefully we're good, but we'll see what all goes on here. All right, so I got all the cylinders here filled up with diesel. Unfortunately, some of them, like that back one, are it must be slipping past the ring pretty quick because it's draining fairly quickly. This one here, though, has been giving us problems. So if I take the funnel out, as you can see, it's still dry as a bone in there. Must have an exhaust valve open of some sort, because any diesel that we throw in that cylinder immediately flushes right out the tailpipe. So I don't know exactly what to do about that. I'm gonna do a little bit of research, figure out what exactly we need to do about that, and we're gonna move on from there. Interestingly enough, you can see here where this was an old farm truck, and obviously this connection had come out, and to put it back together, they just used some number 12 wire. That was their solution for this no longer being connected. So you can tell that there was some interesting work being done on this. All right, so looking at these cylinders, we got some diesel in there, but unfortunately it's draining really quickly, and we noticed a few issues, especially with how deep that rust is. So we have decided we're going to go ahead and just pull the head off. All right, so we went ahead and did pull off the head. We were concerned about some deeper rust inside the cylinders. Taking a look at these flatheads, actually what we were really seeing is just this bit right here that has some of that deep rust, which we can take a look at that and we can deal with that rust a little bit better. Inside the cylinders, you want to show that? Inside the cylinders actually look pretty good. The walls still look very clean. There's not much surface rust at all. We'll still go ahead and throw some diesel in there and let it sit for a little while, just help clean up a little bit of the surface rust that there is. The head is laying over here, as you can see. We went ahead and we did pull it off. The inside and the top is a little bit covered in rust, and so we are going to do a little bit of de-rusting there too. But all in all, it is looking a lot better than we were first originally thinking, and I think we are going to make it work. Another really good thing about these is that these have copper gaskets for its head gasket here, and so because of that, we're actually going to be able to reuse it, and it didn't break or anything, so it's actually going to be totally reusable, and that's a really nice that we don't have to either find a new gasket or make a new gasket, so that is really good. All right, so we went ahead and got all the cylinders filled with diesel now. Our main concern now is just going to be the valves. The cylinders actually look really good. There's just a very small amount of surface rust that we're going to see if we can, help out a little bit with that diesel. We're not going to worry too much about this rust here. Hopefully that won't cause too much of a problem. We're mainly going to just worry about making sure these valves seat and see how well that all will work with those valves once we can get the transmission unlocked and the engine turning over. All right, we went ahead and took the head here and we turned it upside down, and there is some pretty good rust in there too. So we're just throwing some diesel in there to see if we can help out a little bit of that. It's not really necessary, but just for fun. So other than that, we're just gonna let this sit, and now we're gonna take a look at the transmission. All right, while we're letting that engine soak, we're taking a look here at this transmission since it is stuck in first gear. We already took this little panel off. It was pretty difficult. We had to get an oxyacetylene torch, but we got this little panel in the floorboard of the truck here. So now we're looking at the transmission here. What we're having to do is we're going to have to pull, the parking brake here is connected to this plate. So we're going to pull off the parking brake. As you can see, I already got one of the bolts off. Got one more bolt there. And then we can take off the rest of this top plate of this transmission with the gear shift so that we can take a look in there and see what we need to do to get it into neutral. All right, got it off, and yeah, it is a little bit rusty in there. Plenty rusty in there. Plenty rusty on top too. I would say that's why we were stuck. Yeah, I'd say that's why we were stuck in neutral, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and just fill up this whole case with diesel. Just let the whole transmission soak in diesel for a while, and hopefully that'll help break things loose. All right, so we went ahead and filled this transmission up with diesel. And so as you can see, as you saw, it was pretty rusty, but we're just gonna go ahead and let that soak now. And hopefully it will help get some of that rust off so that when we put it back together, everything will actually move and function as is supposed to. All right, just to make things a touch nicer for us, we did go ahead and clear out all of the junk on the back, along with the junky wood railings that are no longer any good. So that's a lot cleaner. We also put a nice little piece of plyboard on here so that we can set some of the stuff that we're pulling off on there. Inside, we took out that junky old seat. As you can see, it's still very rusty, still very done for. I don't think we're ever going to reuse that. We just threw a couple boards in here just so we can sit on there when we're messing around with that transmission and stuff. So that does make it look quite a bit nicer, especially just getting all that junk off the back. All right, so I haven't been getting all of this filmed very well. Basically, all we've done here is we've got this transmission here. We were able to manually manipulate these gears to get them into neutral. As you can see, like this gear, we can now move around by hand. So we do now have these in neutral so that it's no longer connecting our back axle to our engine. We then pulled it just a touch so that now we can see that these back wheels here are actually free now, and they will roll. So all that we have left to work on now is just the engine. Okay, the transmission is okay, the back axle is okay, all of that is working in good order. All we have to do now is just get this running. Now obviously the cylinders look perfectly fine, so all that we have to worry about now are just the valves. Okay, obviously these valves are pretty corroded, pretty rusty, and that must be what's holding back this engine. But with that being said, we've done a lot in this episode, between getting the head off, getting the transmission top off, you know, just everything that we've done. We've done a lot. We've made a lot of progress. So that's going to be all for today's video. Thank you for watching, and if you'd consider liking and subscribing, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching.